Yeah, I think it's working. It seems to be taping quite well. Okay. Je suis avec Emmett Williams, qui est un membre de Fluxus, qu'on a connu surtout pour Fluxus. Emmett Williams, you are well renowned for what you have done with Fluxus. Today, do you think that Fluxus is still going on, that the spirit is still there, like in your work? Is it still there?
Well, having been a Fluxus artist, I have this inability to forget the thing altogether, no matter what medium I'm using. The Fluxus humor, the Fluxus directness comes out in paintings, collages, poems, and certainly in the performance work. It's not the only thing, but I think Fluxus marked us all quite permanently, to the extent that even those who have forgotten all about what it was like in 1962 still use the word Fluxus and still give some sense that there is still such a group, although most of those from 1962 are buried in their graves by now. But still, we have our group fun. And then there's always the enthusiasm with which younger artists are now calling themselves Fluxus artists or Fluxists, and it's a pretty good batch. We've worked with them in Moscow, we've worked with them in Australia, we've worked with them in Italy. Yes, there's something about it that, yeah, but it's certainly not the only thing in my life or my art. It's a very important element. I do not subscribe to the notion, as so many of them did, that life is art and art is life. Because from my own personal point of view, if you don't know the difference between art and life, you're in trouble.
Thank you, Emmett Williams. Nous allons maintenant parler de l'exposition qu'il y a présentement à la Galerie Lieu, où on retrouve des œuvres d'Emmett Williams et de Anne Noël. Mr. Williams, we're just talking about this exhibition here with your work. So just explain us. This is a work that has to do with history. Talk to us about it.
Well, it is based upon history. I would call it a primer of modern art with the emphasis on Fluxus. And whereas some people spend their time, some Fluxus people and academics spend their times trying to explain Fluxus philosophically, sociologically, aesthetically, I prefer to use the medium of an historical comic strip done through collages, blending historical fact with the most outlandish, ridiculous things that could possibly happen, like Klaus Olenberg putting a faucet to the Statue of Liberty and all the water pouring out of the fountain. You know, it's a complete nonsense.
And you're still using, I would say, images that comes from the, I would say, Fluxus period, the most active Fluxus period.
Yes, one of the most famous components of these collages and much of my work from time to time are these things that I call the little people. And I've been making these little people since I can't remember when, but I mean, I have very complex permutations of little people from the 50s and 60s. But these are little people that I'd like to play with, you know? And they help tell this comic strip history, you know, keep it going.
So there is still that humorous fact that was in Fluxus. You're like revisiting history with those little people with that humor that used to be.
Yes, I am stuck with mostly happy memories about Fluxus, and I like for these happy memories to invade my work. I hate to concentrate on death that becomes an increasingly important part of Fluxus and all of the homage to the dead and the attempt to historicize us and to lock us up in a museum. Yet that I don't like, to be locked up in a museum.
Je suis maintenant en compagnie d'Anne Noël qui travaille avec Emmett Williams, qui est aussi une artiste qui a connu Fluxus à la fin des années 60. Anne Noël, you're today editing books. You're an artist, And you're, in a way, keeping the memory of Fluxus alive, but you're also like continuing the work and imposing a sense of humor and pleasure of working in art.
Yes, I very much believe in working with people, trying to involve them in the things that I do, and many of my projects are not pure Fluxus, but they have to do with taking everyday things, presenting them to everyday people, and making them enjoy art in the way I know it. So that in the last project I did for the Liverpool Biennale, I was working in a shopping mall in the center of Liverpool, talking to shoppers passing by, trying to convince them to exchange little object that they were carrying with them that I could use in a canvas, and giving them in return a book that I had made with an original handwritten text about an object I have at home. So it was sharing. And I think the Fluxus idea of sharing is very important. It's something that I've used a lot in my work. Even my own portraits are shared histories. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your work, the work that you have made for the Galerie Inter, it has to do with that idea also of collecting memories and sharing things with people.
Yes, I have one piece which is an abbreviated history. I call it a portrait of Berlin, Conflux. That's living together, moving together. And the piece is the chronological names from my diaries about the time of the falling of the Berlin Wall, 1989 to 1991. And of course, a portrait of me involves everyone that I eat with, that I go to concerts with, that I see in an art gallery, and so all the names are there, and I've colored the pieces according to the activities we were involved in at the time.
Which is, like I said, very Fluxusian, you can say, in a way. Again, it has to do with everyday life, but bringing art to everyday life and exchanging with people.
Exactly, exactly. And even the other work on the opposite wall are small objects that we have in our house at home, which I've photographed, and I've written the histories, because the histories of the objects, they're mostly things that people have given us. Many of them were Fluxus artists. So that, as in Emmett Williams' work, he has a strange history. From his point of view, I have made another kind of history from my point of view.
Thank you.